My name is Filippo Taddei. I'm a resident economist at SAIS Europe. I also had the privilege of being actively involved in policymaking in Italy by serving as chief economist to the Italian Democratic Party, whose secretary is the Italian Prime Minister Matteo Renzi. This Sunday, on December 4th, Italians will be called to vote on a referendum regarding constitutional reform. There are three aspects or three main contributions of that reform. A deep change of the legislative procedure, moving from a two-chamber system by which every bill needs to approval in both the lower chamber, Camera dei Deputati, and in the Senate, the Senato, in order to be promulgated into law. With the constitutional reform, basically 90% of the bills will need approval only in the Camera dei Deputati. The second contribution of the constitutional reform has to do with direct initiative by citizens to actually determine legislation. So not only the referendum to abolish an existing piece of legislation will be renovated, but also referendum to introduce new pieces of legislation will be introduced, and also differently from the current constitution, bills that are proposed by initiative of Italian citizens will need to be discussed by Parliament. As of today, there is no such obligation. The third contribution of the constitutional reform has to do with a clear division between the legislative power, between the state government and the regional government. As of today, there are important areas such as energy policy, infrastructure, or active labor market policy, social policy, on which there are two levels of legislation, the state government and regional government. With the constitutional reform, we will have a clear distinction of legislative power. Some will be attributed to the state, others to the region. Through a clear division, accountability will be easier because responsibility will be clearer. And what's very interesting is how many undecided voters we have. What always emerges is how wide that group of people is. Typically, it's very tiny when you are rolling 2 days from the election. Now it's very large, so the outcome is quite uncertain, but it will be interesting to see what happens on Sunday night.